My hands still shake when I speak of it. The counselors don't notice, they think it's fear of them. They're wrong. It's fear of them. The chamber is cold, its high arches looming over me like the ribcage of some ancient beast. Light filters in through crystalline panels, gleaming off the golden armor of the council guard. The interrogation dais hums beneath my boots, binding me in place with a gravitic field. I am a decorated officer of the Voth Imperium's 7th Fleet. And I am here because I lived when no one else did. The senior counselor leans forward, his frilled brow furrowing. Commander Dravnek. Report. How did a human scrap vessel destroy 3 Imperial warships? The others smirk, expecting my humiliation. I want to tell them the truth, that there was no shame in what happened. That survival itself was a miracle. But my voice comes out low, heavy, as though the very memory weighs me down. It began as a routine patrol. Outer Rim, Sector 5K. We had reports of unauthorized traffic near the Aurelian Drift. Smugglers, perhaps rebels. Nothing worthy of a war fleet. Then we found them. Or, rather, it. The ship hung against the starfield like a dying animal. Its hull was a patchwork mess, plates of mismatched alloys welded in ugly seams, scorch marks running across its flanks. One engine assembly looked like it had been ripped straight off a mining hauler, the other from a decommissioned cruiser. Sensor masts jutted at odd angles. We laughed. My gunnery officer suggested we take it whole, sell it to pirates for scrap value. I agreed, why waste ammunition? Then, it moved. No, it lunged. The kind of maneuver that should have torn it apart. The mass readings spiked, far heavier than its frame suggested, and then its signature vanished. Impossible, my sensor chief whispered. They've cloaked. No human ship had ever cloaked before. Not without bleeding power signatures like a dying sun. Yet here they were, gone from every readout, replaced by a whisper of static. The first shot came from below our port flank, a rail slug, mass accelerated far beyond safety tolerances. It punched straight through our dorsal armor, tearing a hole in Deck 7. Atmosphere vented, bodies tumbled into the black. I barked for return fire, but the humans didn't stay still. That ship, that abomination, darted around us with the precision of a duelist. Every shot they fired crippled something vital. Power conduits. Life support feeds. Targeting relays. They weren't trying to kill us quickly. They were taking us apart piece by piece. The second Imperial cruiser moved in to flank them. I thought that would be the end, 3 times their firepower, full coverage. Then the humans turned their ship into a weapon. They vented drive plasma at full burn, igniting it mid-spill with a missile detonation. The resulting firestorm blinded every sensor within 5 kilometers. When the static cleared, the second cruiser was nothing but drifting slag. We didn't understand. How could a pile of refuse fight like this? Then I realized it wasn't the ship. It was the people. Humans thrive in chaos. Every piece of their vessel was jury-rigged, redundant, ugly, but every system could be replaced, rewired, rebuilt in minutes. They used asteroid rock as supplemental armor, bolted on weapon mounts from half a dozen different navies, spliced alien targeting code with human fire control AI. My final order was to retreat. The flagship was already breaking apart. I sent my crew to the escape pods, but before I could follow, they hailed me. The human captain appeared on my comm screen, helmet off. He looked ordinary. No scars, no fangs, no cybernetics. Just tired eyes and a grim smile. You should tell your people, he said, not to hand us garbage. We hate wasting good garbage. And then he was gone, his image replaced by the glare of his ship's forward batteries. My ship's shields collapsed under the barrage. I barely reached an escape pod before the hull split apart. I finish my report. The chamber is silent. Counselors glance at one another, their smugness gone. You expect us to believe, one finally says, that humans can make this from discarded parts? I don't expect you to believe, I answer. My voice is cold now, steady. I expect you to prepare. Because that was one ship. And every time you destroy one, I lean forward, the gravitic field straining against me. They build another. Better. Deadlier. Later, in my cell, I hear whispers from the guards. The humans call their ship the Iron Revenant. I know why. It never truly dies. It just comes back patched, reinforced, more dangerous than before. The galaxy thinks the war is still years away. They're wrong. It's already here. And the deadliest ship in the galaxy was built from our scrap. It began not with a declaration of war, but with a joke. The Galactic Council, in their arrogance, believed humanity had no place in the great affairs of the stars. We were newcomers, barely a century into faster-than-light travel, still learning the etiquette of the great civilizations. So when humans petitioned for a place in the Outer Rim Defense Charter, the Council agreed, on one condition. They would grant us a single vessel. Not a modern warship. Not even a functioning freighter. No, what they gave us was a derelict. A half-dead hulk dredged from a scrapyard orbiting the ruins of the Vather shipyards. Its hull was riddled with microfractures. Its weapons mounts were stripped bare. The jump drive had been cannibalized for parts decades earlier. The Council called it an appropriate beginning for a young species. Humans called it an insult. Footage, time-lapse of dockyards, human workers in EVA suits. The Iron Revenant was not born in a day, or a month, but in a frenzy of years. Where the Council saw useless scrap, humanity saw possibility. Our engineers didn't simply repair, it wasn't in our nature to restore something to its original form. No, they rebuilt it in ways no alien mind would dare. The shipyards became a forge of ingenuity. Panels of composite armor from decommissioned Terran battlecruisers were bolted beside sections of alien titanium plating. Mining lasers, once meant to cut through asteroids, were overclocked, refitted with capacitor banks, and mounted as close-range ship killers. Entire thruster assemblies from incompatible species designs were grafted onto the frame. The controls had to be rewritten from scratch, blending alien navigation code with human instinct. Every bolt, every weld told a story of a civilization that refused to be measured by another's standard. Interview segment, Elderly Engineer. We didn't have a blueprint. We had a goal. Make it work, make it deadly. We learned to splice tech that was never meant to speak the same language. We learned how to bypass safety limits that other species considered sacred. To the Council, it was madness. To us, it was progress. Dramatic music, scene shift, pirate raid footage. Its trial by fire came in the Black Nebula. A pirate armada, 40 ships strong, descended upon the unprotected colonies of the Rim. No reinforcements could arrive in time. The Iron Revenant was the only vessel within reach. The pirates scanned it and laughed. The heat signatures were erratic. The hull bore mismatched plating. The weapons arrays flickered like a dying beacon. And then, the ship moved. The Iron Revenant did not fight like any vessel in the galaxy. It fought like a predator born in the dark. Its mismatched thrusters allowed maneuvers no balanced warship could attempt: wild spins, sudden acceleration, reverse burns that made it seem to vanish from one trajectory and appear on another. The mining lasers burned through shield harmonics the pirates thought invulnerable. Salvaged mass drivers from human and alien wrecks unleashed tungsten slugs at velocities that made armor meaningless. The ship's armor, layered with dense asteroid rock, shrugged off missile impacts that would have gutted standard cruisers. Within an hour, the pirates were in retreat. Half their fleet burned behind them. The rest limped away with their comm channels filled with the same word in every tongue. Run. Council chamber recording, alien diplomat. This thing should not exist. News of the battle spread faster than light itself. The Council called an inquiry, demanding to know how a mere human scrapyard experiment had defeated an armada. The answer was simple. The Iron Revenant was never one ship. It was many ships, many ideas, woven together into something entirely new. It could take a hit, adapt, and hit back harder. Every time it sustained damage, its crew didn't simply repair, they upgraded. What was a weakness one day became a strength the next. Battle montage: War against the Keeler Dominion. The Revenant became the tip of humanity's spear. When the Keeler Dominion declared war on the Council's Outer Rim territories, they did not expect humans to be a deciding force. But wherever the Dominion struck, the Iron Revenant appeared, sometimes days ahead of Allied fleets, intercepting invasion forces, breaking siege lines, and vanishing before counterattack. By the third year of war, enemy ships began retreating at the mere sight of its mismatched silhouette. The Dominion placed a bounty on its destruction so vast that it could have bankrupted entire systems. Many tried. None succeeded. Interview: Human Captain of the Revenant. Every piece of it has been replaced at least once. Some sections, 6 times. The captain leans back in his chair, a faint smile touching his lips. The Council gave us a corpse. We made it a living thing. And living things, they learn. Closing narration: footage of the Revenant docked, crew working. In time, the Council stopped calling it an embarrassment. They began calling it a miracle. But humanity never forgot. The insult had forged something greater than pride. It had forged a weapon unlike any other, one born not of wealth, not of tradition, but of necessity, stubbornness, and a refusal to accept limits. The Iron Revenant still sails the rim. No longer alone, its design philosophy has spread to dozens of human-built ships, each unique, each unpredictable. And so the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. If you give humans your scrap, be ready for them to give you hell in return. Keller. You know what the funniest part is? This wall, right here, behind me, used to be open space. No plating, no sealant. Just a hole the size of a dropship. And we still made the morning coffee. Ramos. Yeah, until you forgot to turn on the shield emitter and half the steam froze midair. I was drinking coffee slush. The Deadliest scrap heap wasn't born a warship. She wasn't born anything, really. She was gifted to us by the Galactic Council in the same way you gift a broken toaster to someone you don't like so you can laugh when it catches fire. They said it was a goodwill gesture. We knew it was a joke. The thing had no jump core, no working guns, and half its wiring had been stripped for copper. Garrick, Captain. They didn't expect us to make it spaceworthy. Hell, I think they hoped we'd die trying. We started with whatever we could scavenge. The starboard engine came from a mining tug. The port thruster? Stole that off a condemned patrol ship we found in a salvage yard. The weapons? One railgun older than most of the crew. A set of turret mounts that used to be part of a defense satellite. A mining laser someone accidentally overclocked until it could melt through warship armor. Every day was chaos. Welding arcs lit the air, fuel lines hissed, someone was always yelling, "Don't touch that, too late." Ramos, you can't just bolt an alien targeting array onto a human frame. Keller, watch me. Ramos, it's going to explode. Keller, probably. We didn't build a warship in the traditional sense. We assembled one, like a patchwork quilt with a bad attitude. Every component had a different history, a different maker, a different failure rate. And yet, when we finally powered her up, the scrap heap shuddered and lived. We were 2 jumps out from Port Havelock when the distress call came in. A merchant convoy was under attack by Keeler raiders. The scrap heap was closest. Garrick. All right, crew. Let's see if this rust bucket can earn her name. The raiders laughed when they saw us. Open columns, mocking us in half a dozen languages. Our hull was mismatched colors, our heat signature all wrong, and our sensor profile looked like a cargo hauler that had been in too many bar fights. Then Ramos kicked the engines. The scrap heap moved like nothing they'd ever seen. Those mismatched thrusters? Perfect for wild maneuvers, cuts, spins, flips that no balanced ship could replicate without tearing its frame apart. Keller. Railgun hot. Firing. The first slug punched clean through a raider corvette. The second hit a reactor. By the time the debris cooled, 2 ships were gone. The mining laser, overclocked and unstable, screamed across the void, slicing through another attacker like paper. The rest of the fight was short. The raiders limped away, leaving behind drifting wrecks and a cargo bay full of stolen goods. Ramos, you realize we just fought a warship with a glorified drill. Keller, and won. Garrick, gentlemen, I think we've just upgraded our reputation from junk hauler to very angry junk hauler. After that, the name stuck. The deadliest scrap heap. Even the council started calling us that, sometimes with a smirk, sometimes with a grimace. We faced 6 ships that day. Too many. Even for us. We took hits, armor sheared away, hull plating bent inward, systems fried. But here's the thing about a ship built from junk: you can lose half of it and still fight. Because none of it was meant to be there in the first place. Keller rerouted weapons power through an old mining battery. Ramos flew us through an asteroid field at full burn. Garrick ordered a feint that made the enemy think we'd lost engines right before we jumped behind them. 2 hours later, all 6 enemy ships were either burning or drifting. We limped away with half the crew covered in welding burns and half the hull missing, and still laughing. Ramos, remember when the council said this thing wouldn't survive its first trip? Keller, yeah, I think we're on trip 112 now. Garrick, one day, we'll tell them we built a fleet like this. Ramos, one day, Captain, we'll be the fleet. The deadliest scrap heap kept flying. Every time we lost a part, we found another, sometimes better, sometimes stranger. Once we replaced our main comm array with a repurposed entertainment satellite. Once we used scavenged shuttle hulls as temporary armor. The galaxy started to take notice. If you see a ship with mismatched plating and unpredictable maneuvers, retreat immediately. It is not damaged. It is hunting. We were no longer a joke. We were a warning. And the more they tried to destroy us, the stronger we became. Because for every battle scar, we added something new, some ridiculous, cobbled together invention that no sane engineer would approve. They gave us scrap because they thought it would keep us small. They thought we'd stay in our place, fly our little joke ship, and never be a threat. But humans, we build. We adapt. We take what's broken and make it stronger. The deadliest scrap heap isn't just a ship. It's proof. Proof that you can't measure us by what we're given, only by what we make of it. And if the galaxy keeps giving us garbage, we'll keep giving them hell.